This content is for spiritual and educational purposes only. Shadow work. We hear the phrase all the time, but most people aren't really sure what it means or how to actually apply it in real life. I've been there too, hearing about it from teachers and guides, but not really understanding what I was supposed to do with it. In this video, we'll strip away the mystery, keep it simple, and talk about what shadow work really is and why it matters. The shadow is any part of you that you'd rather hide. It's the background motivations your ego rests on when it decides how you'll interact with the outside world. Think of it as the framework your ego draws from in an attempt to protect you, your feelings, your psyche, even your soul. When you start to address those motivations, you're not necessarily trying to fix yourself or become someone new. You're simply noticing what's already there and then making a conscious decision about what to do with it. How it shows up. Ego on autopilot. Teachers often talk about killing the ego, and many use that phrase interchangeably with shadow work. I don't believe you have to kill the ego. You do need to discover what your ego's motivations are, because that's what allows you to consciously decide how you're going to act. The ego is always in protection mode, and left unchecked, it will push you to react in ways you may not even want. Reactions that happen unconsciously on autopilot. They're your triggers. They show up when you become jealous of someone else's success, when you feel anger or resentment simmering underneath your interactions, when the same things keep surfacing over and over, even though you thought you moved past them. It's snapping at your partner over something small. It's feeling resentment when someone else succeeds. It's shutting down the moment a family member calls because of an old wound. Each one has an underlying reason for why it happens and why it keeps happening. That reason usually stays hidden until you face it, examine it, and resolve it. And that's what shadow work does. It brings those hidden motivations into the open so they don't run your life unconsciously. Shadow work is how you take ownership of your path, ownership of your choices, and ownership of your soul. So how do you actually uncover the shadows? Start by noticing the moments you react, the ones you regret later, or the ones that don't quite make sense even to you. Once you catch one, don't stop at the surface. Ask yourself why, and then ask again and again and again. Each why peels back a layer until you reach the real reason, the one that usually hurts to admit. That's the shadow. It's not always obvious, and it doesn't always show up in the big dramatic moments. Sometimes it's hidden in the smallest habits, like checking a mirror to adjust yourself, or resenting someone else's win, or shutting down on a phone call. Journaling these whys can help you see what's really there, written in front of you instead of hiding in the background. This is how you uncover the shadows, by following your reactions to their root, one layer at a time. Why it matters. Chances are, if you're watching this, you're already on the path of expanding your soul's awareness. You're on the conscious path of transcendence, and you're looking for ways to make that path clearer. Shadow work is one facet of expanding awareness. It happens by consciously taking ownership of who you are. In practice, shadow work helps you release the excess baggage that weighs you down along the journey. Can you transcend without doing shadow work? Yes, you can. But old wounds have a tendency to keep you spiraling, pulled back into the external world instead of evolving your internal one. Without that baggage, that extra weight, you can reach higher states of awareness more easily. Not because shadow work makes you special, but because it frees you to move with less resistance. Sovereignty. This practice of clearing old wounds and reshaping subconscious motivations moves you in the direction of sovereignty. Another key part of expanding awareness, expanding your soul, and moving toward transcendence. Sovereignty is a goal we should all be striving for. It's you owning you, all of you, your thoughts, your feelings, your choices. Without it, your direction is distorted and dictated by forces outside of you. The moment you begin shadow work, you begin reclaiming those motivations that once ran on autopilot. You take back ownership of yourself, and you begin to take the helm of your future in hand. Sovereignty begins when you stop letting the cycle rule you. When you can say, "This may be in my lineage, it may have been a pattern, but it's not me. It doesn't define me, and I can reshape it." When you're running on autopilot and letting external forces or hidden motivations dictate how you act, it often leaves you disappointed in yourself. Whenever you can't fully stand behind your actions, your thoughts, or your deeds, you lose a piece of yourself. What this inner work does is help you start reclaiming that energy. The energy you gave away during times of reaction, denial, or avoidance. It also creates space for you to choose your response instead of repeating the same old cycles. Over time, this work builds self-trust. Trust that you are standing in front of your responses. Trust that you don't have to deflect, protect, or hide from old, uncomfortable interactions. Trust that you own you. You trust you. And that trust is what makes a sovereign being, one that is aligned with transcendence. At its core, shadow work isn't about perfection. It's about realigning the subconscious motivations that drive you so you can step fully into the forefront of who you are. It allows you to embody the sovereign being you were always meant to be. It's the reshaping of your ego's foundations. So your ego no longer blocks your path, but stands beside you as a protector. The goal is simple but powerful: to own yourself, to own your actions, your thoughts, and your motivations. That's what this inner work makes possible. I'd love to hear your thoughts or questions about shadow work, so feel free to share them in the comments below. And if you'd like to learn more, check out the notes for Soul Via Vibes website information. The reflections and teachings shared here are for spiritual and educational purposes only. They are offered to inspire awareness and inner growth, not as medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice. If you are experiencing challenges with your health or mental well-being, please seek the support of a qualified professional. You are your own guide, and only you can choose the path that serves you best.